You're fired. I don't need anyone who goes against me. Pack your things and get out. I was fired for standing up to the company president. After that, I decided to start my own business, encouraged by my boss, Anna. This time, I won't run away. I'll stand tall and fight. I can't let someone who hurts our valuable employees get away with it. Who are you, really? Seeing everyone like that, Anna's eyes welled up with tears. My name is Sean. I'm turning 30 this year. I joined an IT company as a new graduate and this is my 6th year there. I moved from the countryside to the city after graduating from college and have been living alone. Since I was good at handling computers, I majored in IT in college. The company I joined was built from scratch by the president, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts is known as a savvy businessman, and his company is well regarded in the industry. At first, I was proud to have joined such a prestigious company as a new graduate. I was also excited about the new life that awaited me. However, reality was not so easy. After joining, I gradually realized that Mr. Roberts had many unreasonable and coercive rules. And I became increasingly troubled by complying with them. Hey! Make sure you get this client no matter what. Mr. Roberts' yelling echoed through the room again today. Even if I argued, it would only lead to long hours of scolding later. I had already learned this in the few years since I joined the company. By this point, it felt like we were all being worked like slaves under Mr. Roberts. Sean, you look like you have something to say. You know what happens if you go against me while you're here, right? Yes, I understand. Mr. Roberts glared at me. I had planned to speak up today, but his piercing gaze froze me in place. As a result, I ended up saying nothing. I had good sales performance and stood out from others. It was expected that I would be promoted, and I was confident about it myself. However, achieving good results in this company was no easy task. Even I, a system engineer, was sent out for sales division and given quotas. The quotas were almost impossible to achieve. I often had to take work home and pull all-nighters. If I didn't meet the quotas, I would be summoned by Mr. Roberts for training. Although we got overtime pay, the workload was exhausting, and everyone was worn out. But amidst these hellish days, there was a small solace. Great job. You're the top performer this month again. That's amazing. It was Anna, our section chief, handing me a can of coffee. Thank you. But it was just luck. That's not true. It's the result of your skill and effort. I felt embarrassed by the direct compliment and looked away. Anna is 6 years older than me. She is not only good at her job but also considerate of her employees, and everyone admired her. I was one of those who respected her. Anna handled Mr. Roberts' unreasonable demands effortlessly and even exceeded expectations. I also managed to keep up with Mr. Roberts and achieve results, but many employees hit their limits. Honestly, I thought about quitting every day. However, thinking about the clients who needed me and Anna made it hard to make a decision. I loved my job as an engineer, and of course, my colleagues all took pride in their work. It was painful to see my colleagues lose their sanity and leave because of Mr. Roberts. I'm just not cut out to be an engineer. During a break, it was my subordinate, James, who came to me for advice. That's not true. I vouch for your skills. You need to have more confidence. I said this sincerely. It was not a lie. James has exceptional abilities and is a valuable asset as an engineer. However, he has a significant flaw: his communication skills are extremely poor. When he first joined, he spent his days working in isolation, not talking to anyone, just staring at his computer. I was chosen to be James's mentor. Over the course of about a year, I gradually built a rapport with him until he finally started talking. As I got to know him, I discovered that he had a surprisingly friendly side and an extraordinary passion for his work. We often spent entire nights talking about work. However, despite his talents, James struggled with sales, and as the monthly report meetings approached, his anxiety visibly increased. Then came the day of the monthly report meeting. Mr. Roberts was frustrated because sales performance was worse than he expected these days. As usual, the meeting started with a long speech from Mr. Roberts. He frowned as he pointed out the disappointing current situation. Sometimes he mixed in his old war stories and boasts, and depending on his mood, he would single someone out for a public scolding. I really hated this part. It felt no different from bullying. All the yelling made it hard to absorb any meaningful content. That day, Mr. Roberts' target was James. He was made to stand up and was subjected to a relentless tirade from Mr. Roberts. It was so harsh that it felt like an attack on his very humanity, and it was unbearable to watch. But no one dared to speak up. Anyone who did would risk becoming the next target. Listen, someone as gloomy as you has no right to live. I'm sorry. But upon hearing this, I stood up without thinking. I felt my blood boil. Everyone's eyes turned to me, but I didn't care. That's enough. There are things you can say and things you can't. Before I knew it, the words were out of my mouth. Once I started, I couldn't stop. Oh, got a problem? I don't think you need to go that far. He glared at me with intense anger, then turned his gaze to Anna. Hey, can't you control your subordinates? This is your job. I'm sorry. He got a bit heated. This doesn't reflect his true feelings. Anna bowed her head in my stead. I felt guilty for making Anna apologize, but I met Mr. Roberts' gaze head on. If I was going to do this, I might as well say everything I needed to. After all, I was the top performer here. I had every right to voice my opinions. I resolved this in my heart and spoke up. With all due respect, Mr. Roberts, I think your methods are outdated and no longer effective. That's just your excuse. If you strike when your opponent hesitates, it will surely lead to sales. That's how I built this place. In today's world, your methods are increasingly counterproductive. Our recent sales have been poor, haven't they? Sean, stop. Anna called out to me worriedly, but I continued. Compliance is becoming more stringent. I think we need to be more considerate and accommodating. Are you questioning my methods? Since when did you get so high and mighty? Mr. Roberts stood up and slammed his hands on the table. His eyebrows were furrowed, and his face turned red with anger. You seem to be under some misconception, but no matter how good you are at your job, you're just a pawn in this company. He sat back down with a thud and crossed his legs. And I'm the one who moves those pawns. If you can't follow my rules, you don't belong here. He continued in a harsh tone. You're fired. I don't need anyone who defies me. Pack your things and get out. He glared at me. The deep wrinkles on his forehead and his otherwise handsome face only made him look more ruthless. Wait a minute. Anna raised her voice at his declaration. What is it, Anna? Do you have a complaint too? It's fine. Anyone who questions me isn't needed here. No matter what, it's too harsh to fire someone on the spot like this. Mr. Roberts interrupted Anna with a smug grin. This happened because of your poor supervision. I'll need a report later. He then completely ignored me and started flipping through his papers. That day, I decided to quit the company. But I had no regrets. I would have regretted it more if I had abandoned James in that moment. After finishing the resignation procedures, as I was about to leave the company, Anna called out to me, and I turned around. Anna, thank you for everything. As I tried to thank her, Anna's voice trembled with pain. You didn't need to quit. I'm so sorry. I failed to protect you as your supervisor. She apologized deeply this time. No, this is for the best. Unable to look at her face, I left the company. As I stepped out of the company entrance, someone was waiting for me. I'm coming with you. It was James, clutching a large cardboard box in his arms. Knowing him, there was no point in trying to change his mind. Are you sure you want to come? Absolutely. And so, we left the company together. We started working as freelance engineers. However, freelancing proved to be far more challenging and unpredictable than we had imagined. We quickly realized how valuable the company's brand name had been. Some months, our earnings surpassed what we made as employees, but other months, they were significantly lower. The lack of stability meant living in constant fear of running out of savings. Yet, working with James and supporting each other made those days fulfilling. 2 months after quitting my job, I received a call from Anna, and we arranged to meet at a cafe. Are you off work today? In response to my question, Anna shook her head and said, "No, I quit too. It's all his fault." Her face was filled with disgust as she referred to Mr. Roberts. "Even after you left, he didn't change at all. He continued to treat employees like pawns, using them up and throwing them away." Anna's face contorted with frustration. "I can't believe someone like him can be a president. Someone like you should be in his place. I thought I could endure it. But I couldn't stand his methods anymore. So I quit." Hearing her words, I was struck with a sudden realization. I had been thinking about this for a while. "Are you working somewhere now?" "No, I'm currently enjoying the unemployed life." She sighed and continued in a resigned tone. "My job search isn't going well. It's all because of Roberts." "Did Mr. Roberts do something?" "I don't have any proof, but I keep getting rejected at the document screening stage. Even when I manage to get an interview. Mentioning my previous company creates an awkward atmosphere, and I never hear back. I think he's putting pressure on them somehow." I couldn't believe that the incredibly talented Anna was in such a situation. "If you don't mind, would you work with me? I'm planning to start a company. But I can't offer much pay and it won't be at the same level as before." Anna looked visibly confused by my sudden offer. "If you want, it could just be temporary until you find something else. But there's no pressure." "Really?" She looked at me skeptically. Faced with her beauty, rivaling that of a magazine model, my heart raced. This is how I decided to start my own business. I had already contacted a few former colleagues from Mr. Roberts' company, and some had agreed to join. Everyone supported the idea enthusiastically. And Anna also agreed to work with us. With Anna's arrival, the previously gloomy atmosphere of our group became lively and bright. Despite being only 30 years old, she had risen to the position of section chief at Mr. Roberts' company. Naturally, she demonstrated her exceptional skills, quickly becoming an admired figure among the other employees. People who had been working with a sense of resignation began to feel inspired by Anna's diligent work ethic. And our company's sales started to improve. She was truly a savior for us. I couldn't imagine ever turning my back on her. As I watched her intently focused on her computer, my thoughts must have shone on my face because James spoke up. "You look happy. What are you thinking about?" "Nothing, really." I tried to hide my smile, but James grinned knowingly. "I think you two make a good pair. You and Anna aren't just former colleagues, right? There's something more, isn't there?" "What are you talking about?" "There's nothing going on." Even though I denied it, I probably had a silly grin on my face. "Well, a beauty like Anna would never go for someone like you, Mr. Evers." His words, though cheeky, were hard to argue with. I felt a self-deprecating laugh escape me, adding to my sense of emptiness. 3 months after starting the business, our efforts had begun to pay off, and I was starting to feel more confident in my role as president. Sales were steadily increasing, and everything seemed to be going well. Until he showed up. "Hey, get the person in charge of this gloomy company out here." It was a typical Monday morning, and I was leisurely checking my emails. Suddenly, a thunderous shout pierced through the silence. I rushed to the reception area to see what was happening. Well, long time no see, Sean." To my surprise, Mr. Roberts had shown up unannounced. "Looks like business is booming. Did you pull some strings?" His mocking tone was laced with disdain. "No, it's because our team worked hard. I heard Anna's working here now." "That's right. We've improved a lot thanks to her efforts." Mr. Roberts raised his eyebrows and then said something outrageous. "Why did you hire her?" "I heard she was having trouble finding a new job when we ran into each other, so I offered her a position." "That's all. Fire her." Mr. Roberts' eyes were filled with anger, making him look like a wild beast. I tried to hide my trembling as I asked why. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I don't like that she's working somewhere else without my approval. And you, Sean, should become one of our subsidiaries." "I'm sorry, but I must decline both. She is a valuable asset to our team, and we want her to continue working with us. Please leave. No matter what you say, we won't comply. Just because you've gained a bit of power, don't get cocky. Fine, have it your way. You'll regret this. Unable to contain his anger, Mr. Roberts kicked a nearby trash can and stormed out of the company like a whirlwind. But as he predicted, I soon began to regret my defiance. The next day, we started receiving calls from clients and partners who wanted to reconsider their contracts with us. Some employees even expressed their desire to resign. Just when our business was stabilizing, everything seemed to fall apart. I decided to call one of our partners to ask for an explanation. As expected, Mr. Roberts had investigated our partners and pressured them to cut ties with us. And he's apparently trying to poach our employees one by one. Some employees who refused said they were even offered bribes. I was overwhelmed, but I couldn't think of firing Anna or becoming a subsidiary. Reliving those hellish days was out of the question. However, I couldn't stop thinking about each of our employees. Among them was someone who had recently shared the happy news of their upcoming marriage. As I was wrestling with my thoughts, Anna stood before me. Her expression was resolute, as if she had made up her mind. This is my fault. Please, let me resign. If I return to Mr. Roberts' company, it will protect this company. But you are the president. You need to prioritize the company. Interrupting my protests, she scolded me. As I was at a loss for words, we heard hurried footsteps and the door burst open. Anna, you can't quit. There's no reason for you to leave. Employees who had somehow heard the news started crowding around us. Encouraged by their support, I looked Anna in the eye and said, "Everyone is right. There's no need for you to quit. But this situation is entirely my responsibility as the president." I clenched my fists with determination. This time, I won't run away. I'll stand tall and fight. I can't let anyone who hurts our valuable employees get away with it. That's right. Let's show them the strength of our company. If we don't give our best now, when will we? Inspired by my words, James and the other employees raised their fists in solidarity. Seeing everyone's determination, Anna's eyes seemed to glisten with emotion. With the team united, we started visiting each client that had severed ties with us. We faced numerous rejections and were often turned away at the door. Many were too afraid of Mr. Roberts' influence to even consider working with us. Still, we persevered, bowing our heads and gradually finding new partners. The pressure from Mr. Roberts was immense, and at times, it seemed like our company's survival was at stake. But no one complained, and everyone kept working hard. I focused on what I could do, diving into system development and sales. Thanks to everyone's efforts, our sales began to climb, and we celebrated together when we reached our highest annual sales. Around that time, the system I developed became a massive hit. It caught the industry's attention, and we were flooded with contract requests. As the company found its footing, Anna brought me a can of coffee late one night, just like old times. Facing Mr. Roberts as an equal. Who are you, really? It wasn't just my effort. It was because everyone worked hard together. I placed my finger on the tab of the can of coffee. I felt a sense of triumph over our battles with Mr. Roberts. One day, shortly after arriving at work, I noticed a commotion at the reception. When I rushed over, I saw Mr. Roberts. However, unlike his usual arrogant demeanor, he seemed quite troubled. Is there something you need again? Please, come back to our company. The gap left by you and Anna has been significant. He approached me with an unusually humble attitude. Please, I'm begging you. Ever since you two left, our sales have plummeted and we can't manage our workload. I realize now how indispensable you were. As I was about to refuse, Anna appeared. From a distance, I could see James looking worriedly at us. I am not the same person I was back then. I have a place to protect. And there are many people I need to protect. I steeled myself and faced Mr. Roberts. Ah, Anna, I've been waiting for you. I was wrong. Please come back. Mr. Roberts almost bowed his head, practically groveling. I'll double your salary, whatever it takes. Just come back. Despite his past underhanded actions, Mr. Roberts still held considerable power in the industry. His company's scale and his reputation were immense. It seemed strange for someone as talented as Anna to continue working at a small company like ours. I awaited Anna's response, but she remained calm and said, "I refuse." Both Mr. Roberts and I were taken aback by her unexpected reply. "Mr. Roberts, I appreciate that you recognize my abilities. But it's not about the money," Anna continued with a stern expression. Seeing Anna quietly burning with anger, I sensed that something significant was about to happen. "Please stop interfering with us. I apologize for everything. Please, I'm begging you." Mr. Roberts looked at Anna with pleading eyes, but seeing our firm resolve, he finally gave up and left. For a while, a heavy atmosphere hung over the office, but Anna clapped her hands to dispel it. "All right, let's get back to work. Sean, don't you have a meeting? You'll be late if we don't get moving. Everyone, let's get ready." She smiled gently as she spoke. Later, I heard that Mr. Roberts' company, unable to sustain its operations, lost its credibility and went bankrupt. Known for his unethical practices, Mr. Roberts lost his status and reputation entirely. He tried to make a comeback until the very end, but Mr. Roberts' misdeeds had become widely known among industry peers, resulting in even banks refusing to deal with him. As soon as his company went under, we stopped seeing Mr. Roberts around our company as well. Rumor has it that he now works multiple part-time jobs from morning till night to pay off his remaining debts. However, his pride as a former president caused constant conflicts with his co-workers. As a result, he frequently changed jobs, and now no one knows where he is. The real victims were the employees affected by the bankruptcy. Despite the company's collapse, it had long been a major player, attracting talented individuals. Even after Anna left, some employees who admired her kept in touch. Among those, a few joined our company, drawn by the fact that Anna was here. This happened just as our company was stabilizing. We were discussing expanding our workforce, so it was incredibly fortunate timing. Unlike before, when we constantly worried about the next day's finances, we were now able to manage the company with some breathing room. Remember when Mr. Roberts barged in and asked you to come back? I've always wondered why you turned him down. Why, you ask? Simply because I didn't want to work for him anymore. I couldn't help but give a wry smile at Anna's words. Well, yes, but I've always wondered why you decided to stay with our company. I asked Anna the question that had been on my mind for a long time. There must be many other companies that would want someone as talented as her. I was genuinely curious why she chose to stay at our newly established, small company, even though we were acquaintances. You're so talented, Anna. You could easily succeed at a bigger company. Anna sat down on the sofa and began to speak, revealing her feelings that had been building up. When I was at the previous company, I was dissatisfied with the methods and rules. But I couldn't say anything because I didn't know what would happen if I did. She looked straight at me as she spoke. Sean, you had the courage to stand up to Mr. Roberts. Even though it resulted in you leaving the company, I found that incredibly admirable and inspiring. I was genuinely surprised to hear that Anna had seen me in such a light. After you left, I worked hard, but I often wondered if I was doing the right thing. I listened intently as Anna shared her thoughts for the first time. And just when I impulsively quit my job, you reached out to me. That's when I decided that I would follow you for life. Hearing Anna's story, I felt a bit embarrassed but also relieved to understand her feelings. Thanks to the daily efforts of Anna and the other employees, our company's performance continued to improve. Eventually, we even reached one of our long-term goals of becoming a publicly traded company. Through it all, I was deeply grateful to the employees who had stuck with us from the difficult early days. Additionally, there was another significant change in my life. Sean. Today, I want to hear your answer. Anna looked at me with her already large eyes widened even further. During our usual work discussions, Anna would often bring this up, almost like a routine. I had always managed to deflect and evade the topic, but today, I couldn't escape. As I scratched my head, trying to figure out how to handle the situation, Anna suddenly stood directly in front of me. I want to know clearly. How do you feel about me, Sean? I won't move until you tell me. She puffed her cheeks adorably as she said this. I think you're an amazing person who is good at your job and liked by everyone. In reality, I admired her much more than that. She was talented, beautiful, and never arrogant. Her dedication and compassion for others had slowly drawn me to her. However, I didn't think someone like her would ever be interested in a clumsy president like me. So, I kept my feelings to myself, determined to act as just another employee. But being confronted like this made my resolve waver. Seeing through me, she smiled gently. "That's not all, is it?" I knew. Her face lit up with joy. I felt my face flush with heat. When I started this company, I was desperate. I feared that I would hate myself if I didn't succeed after leaving Mr. Roberts. When our company faced bankruptcy due to his pressure, I often regretted standing up to him. I wondered why I had to go through such hardships. Many sleepless nights passed with these thoughts. Yet, there were people who watched over me during my reckless pursuit. Even someone like me had people who believed in and followed me. Meeting an incredible woman like Anna and gaining irreplaceable colleagues like James made it all worth it. I wanted to keep pushing forward toward our goals without losing sight of what truly mattered. "Anna, would you like to have dinner with me tonight?" For now, I'll start by opening up about my feelings to the woman blushing in front of me.